The other lesson, you created another one? Can you tell
Yes,
me?
so the other lesson that we did, I happened to be out, one of my roles as teacher librarian obviously is book buying. And I happened to be out book buying and I came across this book and it was called The Map of Good Memories. And I kind of flipped through it. I didn't think that the cover looked that exciting, but I kind of looked through it and it immediately triggered me because it was the story of a little girl and it doesn't specifically state where she lives, but she is being displaced due to war. So she's becoming a refugee with her family, and she's going to have to leave the only place that she's known and grown up and loved. So she goes through and she makes herself a map of good memories of all the places she loves in her town so that she can remember them and also hopefully one day come back and revisit these places. And it just really triggered me because when the Syrian crisis was going on and we started getting Syrian newcomers coming to Canada, we got a lot of families in a very short period of time. And these are all families who had lived in refugee camps and, had been displaced. So it kind of triggered me. And I thought, well, I don't necessarily love the illustrations in the story. And it was a great story. And I just thought it would be a great jumping off point for the kids. So we do a lot of identity work here at the school with the kids, a lot of identity text, identity art. And I thought this would be a really nice extension of some of that. So what we did was I read that story to the kids when they would come into the library. And then I had them brainstorm on 10 really great memories that they have. And one of the things that I did make sure to do is let the kids know these could be memories since they've arrived in Canada. These could be memories from when they were little. It's totally up to them what they want to focus on because I didn't want any of our Syrian newcomers to feel like they had to, to bring up some past trauma if being in the refugee camp was horrible or being displaced or leaving family behind. So I wanted them to give that opportunity to whatever you're comfortable working with, that's what I want you to look at. So if it's just things that have happened since you've come to Canada, amazing. If you want to talk about your life before Canada, amazing. I also modified it a little bit for any of our kids who struggle with their learning a little bit. They had a reduced number of events in their life to come up with. So I had them come up with 5. And then what we did a big brainstorming session on how they could present their work. Does it have to be in a map? Absolutely not. That's how this little girl in the book, Zoe, did it, was in this map. And so we came up with everything from, we had kids doing mobiles. Do you know what a mobile is?
It's the thing
Yeah.
with the,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. So they would have all their memories kind of hanging and dangling from that. And we had kids who coded their life story. So they coded their map of good memories. We had kids doing dioramas, books, scrapbooks, postcards, you name it. They just came up with all kinds of different ideas. And then from then, it was just letting them be creative and share it the way they wanted to. When I do lessons with the kids, regardless of what the lesson is, I always encourage them, obviously, to use first language if they choose to. One thing I did with this activity specifically is I know that we do have a lot of kids who understand their first language, but they don't speak it necessarily or know how to write it. So one thing that I encourage some of the kids to do is go home, share some of your memories with your parents, have them help you write some words down in your language, and you can add that. And that got them then excited, learning about their language and a different aspect of it, the written form that they hadn't done in the past. And then we did kind of a big celebration where we presented them and we put them around so that everybody else could kind of see them and enjoy them as well.
That sounds really, really wonderful. And
Yeah,
how did
it was a great lesson.
Yeah. Is that something that you repeat as well?
Yeah, I get requests to repeat that one.
Okay. Well, that's the best response that you can get.
Yes, that's one of the ones, the teachers that I've done it with in the past, usually in September, like, hey, can we do that memories one?
Oh, that's great. So
So
the teachers come in as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I'm in the library, the teachers, it's not like a planning time for the teachers. They come in as well and participate, and we'll kind of like co-work with the kids, that sort of thing.
Did trying out this lesson have an impact on your teaching afterwards?
It did, I think, because I was actually a little anxious about doing the lesson because it was, I think, the closest lesson that I've done that I think could have potentially triggered a bad memory in somebody or triggered something that they had pushed to the back and didn't want to think about. So I had a little bit of trepidation approaching it from that angle. And I think that that's why I was so emphatic with the kids about, you know, you take the happy memories that you want to focus on. And if there's a year of your life that is not in there, like I don't need it to be, you know, one memory from when you were 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You share the memories. If they're all from this year, then you've had a great year, and that's what I want you to roll out. And so I think that once we started doing it and the kids were able to, you know, pick the events that they wanted to talk about and leave out the ones they don't want to talk about, it just alleviated all the anxiety that I had about doing a lesson like that, because I think they handled it so beautifully.
Maybe more generally, is there a lesson learned across borders for you that you would like to share with other teachers?
I think it's just been really nice for me taking part in the LERI project and looking at other people's ideas and lessons. And it's just kind of that, the universality of it. It's kind of nice to see that what we're doing over here is very similar to what's happening over in Europe and in other places in the world. And it's just nice to know that we're now providing this outlet for kids where they get to use their first language, and it's not the stress of having to leave that behind and, you know, learn something entirely new and being overwhelmed in a school. It's just, it's nice that the movement is starting. Yeah, well, I think that our kids now, so when I had the first, the language contract that we did, that was in our first year as a language friendly school. The Map of Good Memories, I think I started that one, I think it was in our second year, possibly third, of being a language friendly school. And so I think that our kids are just so used to now, it's the automaticity of it. If we give them something to do, you will oftentimes see it in both languages. If they're writing a story, they will oftentimes see it in both languages. Some of the kids we do have to encourage. You're going to get a lot of kids who don't want to have to do double the amount of work, so they'd rather just stick with one language and do it that way. But I mean, it's so easy now with Google Translate and other tools like that, that I think that truly that is the best place to start, because I don't know all of their mother tongues. I can't help them with those things, but with Google Translate, we can usually muddle through. We also occasionally have some parent volunteers or teachers who have the same mother tongue as some of the kids, so they can often find help, give a bit of support, help with a word that isn't known or something like that. So I think honestly, it's about that, being able to reach out, not being scared to ask for help, and Google Translate.
Yeah. And about digital tools, I mean, that's an aspect of the project as well. Did you learn any new things, or did you use any new tools in the last?
Yeah, a lot of the kids actually did. We had some kids going on Tinkercad, and I had never used Tinkercad. I'm a Scratch coder when I teach coding to the kids and that sort of thing. So that was kind of a new program that I had seen, and truly doing the first activity that we did with the language contract. That was one where we partially did it online, because we had kids who were virtual learning at the time because it was the beginning of COVID. And so, yeah, that was a big, I'd never Jamboarded. There was all kinds of stuff that I'd never done with technology that, thanks to COVID, and kind of opened up those doors to learn how to do. I just think that the whole project, I just think I'm really happy to have participated in it. I think it was nice to see what other people are doing in other parts of the world and just to get different ideas. I think I've been teaching at my school now for, I think, 11 years, which is about 6 years longer than I said I'd ever stay at a school. So I think you get to a point where you're so used to how your colleagues work and the activities that they do. And I just felt that this kind of opened up an opportunity where I felt like I was learning a lot of fresh things before that, I might not have thought about, or my colleagues might not have thought about. And it just invigorates you into wanting to like dive in and create more lessons. And, how can I make this more accessible to our, second language learners and, that sort of thing. So